It's a new year, everyone, and as such, the Winter 2022 anime season is here. I've already made a video about the anime I won't make full reviews for from fall 2021, but for now, we have a new slew of anime to look forward to or run away from. I've been doing ZNoteTaku for almost 6 months, and I haven't sold out and started doing reaction videos yet. That's a good thing, right? Just to clarify, this video is not going to be a full run-through of everything that I plan to see, but rather will be touching upon some shows that have caught my attention for one reason or another. Continuations from the last season won't be included here, so don't expect Platinum End and Ranking of Kings to be mentioned. These shows are going to be in alphabetical order by their English name if applicable, but I'll try to mention their Japanese names as well if you prefer that. Apologies in advance for pronunciation errors. If you want to skip to a particular show discussion, I'll put timestamps in the video description below. So without further ado, roll that music and let's dive right on in, shall we? Akebi Sailor Uniform, or Akebi-chan no Sailor-fuku. This anime certainly sounds like a cute girls doing cute things show, and given the heavy density of some anime that I've watched in recent months like Kino's Journey, I think I could use something a little bit looser or just plain fun. If the series can make little situations with Akebi be a delightful little romp of slice of life, or make small efforts to include a coming-of-age element into the story, I might see this one being a simple pleasure. I'm not expecting it to be high art or anything like that, but maybe it'll surprise me. Attack on Titan, the final season part 2, or Shingeki no Kyojin. It's been a long journey, but the end of the Attack on Titan animated franchise is now upon us. I have to confess that the longer the series has gone on, the less invested I've been getting in the story, but I've stuck it out this long that I might as well watch it and see if it can stick the landing. Whether it will or not remains to be seen, but in the meantime, let's charge to the finish line together. Studio Mappa had better pull out all the stops and make this count, because if not, then oh boy. Q. The last time that I watched an anime with a tie-in to a mobile game was Toctopus Destiny, and it certainly didn't leave a positive impression. However, I feel more optimistic about this series since it seems, on the surface anyway, more grounded in reality as opposed to residing in fantasy. The idea of girls being trained to become voice actresses has the capability of being mundane but pleasant. Especially depending on the route they want to go with, they could really dive into just how frustrating it is to get a line just right. Will that actually happen? Perhaps not, but I just hope the show as a whole pans out better than other tie-in properties. The Genius's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt, or Tensai Ouji no Akaji Kokka Saisei Jutsu. I wasn't initially going to give this series the time of day, but what ultimately turned me onto it was that the main character just wants to relax. The idea that his actions to get away from the throne end up essentially locking him into the seat has some comedic potential, and depending on how the prince is portrayed, this could be some good material. I wouldn't mind seeing a character like this squirm. Love of Kill, or Koroshi Ai. When I first heard of this show, my mind immediately went to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a film from 2005 about a married couple each hired to assassinate the other. While that film was geared more towards action comedy, this show instead seems more in line with drama. Given its poster and the premise involved, I think it might fare better in selling itself as a better story. I am not familiar with the original source manga, so let's see what surprises, including twisted romance possibly, might be in store for this one. My Dress-Up Darling, or Sono Bisque doll wa Koi no Suru. If there's one aspect of anime fandom life that has never really quite resonated with me in terms of something I'd want to do myself, it's cosplaying. Having an anime centered around that idea could be something that gives me a new perspective on the activity. Since I'm not familiar with the source material, I have no idea if this is going to be played up as romance or comedy, but either way, I'm at the very least fascinated by the premise. Here's hoping it works out. Orient. Reading the premise of this series caught my attention rather quickly. The idea that samurai, a deeply cultural and historical aspect of Japan, could be considered shunned and reviled while demons are worshipped or beloved is definitely an interesting inversion. I'm curious to see whether the series can keep that particular aspect in the limelight, and whether its battle fantasy will be able to withstand the test of however long this anime ends up running. Here's hoping this is a good one. Requiem of the Rose King, or Baraou no Souretsu. The anime is based on an early draft of William Shakespeare's Richard III, and since the aesthetic the show seems to be going for is more akin to boys' love, I think this has some interesting possibilities. The original Richard III is rather dark since it marked the end of the famed War of the Roses, and depending on how similar dark themes are incorporated here, I could see this being a sleeper hit for the season if it's handled well. I just have to wonder if they'll include the famous line, a horse, my kingdom for a horse." Teasing Master Takagi-san Season 3, or Karakai Jouzu no Takagi-san. I remember watching the first couple of seasons of this franchise as they aired, and I loved the adorable pranks and camaraderie that both Takagi and Nishikata shared. The fact that there is still enough to make both a third season and an upcoming film fills me with delight, especially since the second season left off on such an adorable note and placed a little more emphasis on their romantic development. I have to wonder what the new season will have in store. Here's hoping it's just as sweet as before. Tokyo 24th Ward, or Tokyo 24-ku. Every season usually has that one show where you know absolutely nothing about it going in, and this is going to be mine. All I know is that it's an anime original, and I haven't even looked up the premise or synopsis to find out what this is supposed to be about. On the one hand, I find that exciting. On the other hand, I could be setting myself up for pure disappointment. Either way, there's only one way to find out. We'll see if down the line I end up touting this as a gem, or crying in the corner and wondering why I let my curiosity lead me astray. World's End Harem, or Shuumatsu no Harem. That's right, everyone. The first episode of this show aired back in fall 2021, but the production was delayed until this coming anime season. I don't take kindly to my trash being pushed back. I still fully expect it to be a dumpster fire, and I have that warm feeling in my heart that the series will not disappoint, especially after the first episode took place. If you're going to go dumpster diving, you might as well put on some scuba gear and just plunge right on in. And that's what I mostly have my eye on. There are some others, of course, but here's hoping that the ones I mentioned end up being good. What shows are you anticipating for the winter 2022 anime season? Is it something that I didn't mention here? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, this has been ZNoteTaku. Happy viewing, and Happy New Year, everyone.